Hold up. And voila. Hey, what's up, everybody? Y'all know what it is. This is Bobby and
Renee.
you're watching TPN Live with Bobby and Renee.
Yes.
Today we got a great show, guys, coming up. We got a wonderful, wonderful person who I never had a chance to meet while we was in New Orleans, but she met our little sister while she was there, and her name is Drenda Williams.
Have you played this thing lately? Because it's glaring.
First of all, you got on a hat that's bedazzled. That's what's glaring.
No, you're blurry too.
No, yeah.
Have you cleaned the
I
video
did clean
thing?
yeah, but look, it's blurry. Look, you think your bedazzles is. Take your hat off.
There's a reason why I have this hat on.
Why? Let everybody know. Let everybody know why you got the hat on.
You know what?
All right, but anyway, guys. Like I said, we got a wonderful guest tonight. Her name is Drenda Williams.
Do we see the comments?
We see comments.
Okay.
People say
right.
the comments.
Okay.
Drenda Williams, not Brenda, but Drenda, because I got confused. I said Brenda too the other day.
I didn't never tell you it was Drenda. So before we bring
is Drenda.
I didn't never tell you it was Brenda. I never said it was Brenda.
I didn't say you did.
See, listen, guys, y'all know how we do. We got to get it together first before we can get along here.
I know.
So basically, before we bring Drenda on, we want to just tell you guys a little bit about what we have going on right now.
What we got going on?
As you all know, that we are actually in the last.
We halfway done.
Yeah, this is our last weekend of filming.
The web series, The Mind of a
Woman. Yes, Anthony. I do have a bad hair day today. Very bad hair day.
I got a bad one too.
So we are super excited about it. It's been going really, really well. Everybody has been doing a very good job. This is our first season with this series. So we're excited about it. We can't wait to see how it all come together. This weekend, we're going to be filming some really funny scenes, and we're filming with all of the emotions on Sunday. And for those of you that don't know, The Mind of a Woman is about a young lady who have multiple personalities, and we actually are able to see them and hear what they're saying to her. So that's what's making it a comedy. Okay. So we're super excited about that. So, and also Dexter Jackson's Guide to Dating Season 1 will be in two film festivals in September. The one in Berlin.
Yep, Germany,
yes.
And the one in Indiana is the Circle City Film Festival ran by our homegirl, Rashida Randall.
Yes.
But not only that, Season 2 also comes out in September on Amazon Prime. Yes. So I hope you guys are Amazon Prime members. You get to see the wonderful show, Dexter Jackson Called to Dating.
Yes. So you all be on the lookout for that. So we're super excited about those things. Once again, let me make a quick introduction with Drenda Williams. Drenda Williams, she has a book that's called The Will to Live, Finding the Strength Within to Survive. Can you guys see that? It's a great book. I've started on the book. She actually mailed me a copy of her book. Thank you so much. And hey y'all.
Want to know how's the knee?
Oh, Anthony, my knee is getting a lot better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know how that knee works.
Shut up. So we so I started reading the book, and it was very familiar to me. As you know, well, maybe you don't know, but some guys know from watching Flags on the Field, I kind of told a little bit of my story about being in a domestic violence situation.
Not with me.
No, not with him.
Even though my t-shirt says game over with a marriage.
But so when I was reading her book, it kind of took me back to some situations that I found myself in prior to moving here to Atlanta. One of the big reasons why I had to leave so soon. So I'm anxious in speaking to her and just picking her brain. So you guys share this video. We're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about the will to live. We're talking about knowing the signs and how you can get help. Okay.
Right. And we have information on that as well.
Yes. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Miss Drenda Williams.
Hey,
Hello. Hey, Bobby and Renee. How are you all?
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. So listen, thank you so much for joining us. Let me see. Can we see her good? Okay, her head looks like it's a little cut off.
Hey, lift your
phone up or your computer up a little bit so we can see all of
tilt it up,
yeah, tilt it up a little bit.
No, up, other direction.
Way. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, good. Yeah, we didn't want to have to see just half of your pretty face.
Yeah, we're just seeing your nose.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. And thank you all for inviting me to the show.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for actually
accepting
it
yes.
and joining with us. We know that you are in Texas, right?
Yes, I'm in Central Texas where it's nice and hot.
Okay. All right. So you're on Central Time. So right now your time is what, 6:05?
Yeah, it's 6:05.
Okay, great. So yeah, so I was reading your book, Drenda, and like I said, it took me by surprise with a lot of the parallel situations that we kind of have in common. And I guess in reading this book, you kind of, even if you didn't realize that you were in a domestic violence situation, because it doesn't always have to be physical, and I know you talked about that as well. It can be mental and also emotional as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just give us a little bit about you, and dive more into what made you actually come out and write your book.
Okay. A little bit about me. I'm from Missouri, a small town called Vandalia, Missouri. It's about 2,500 people, so it's very rural. And so growing up, we were poor pretty much. Sometimes there wasn't things to eat. Sometimes we didn't have running water. So that kind of developed, in the books talks about this self-esteem issue, which led to me getting into a domestic violence situation, and not only being in that, but also letting it linger over probably a course of 5 years. So we'll fast forward to, probably like 2010. I decided that I wanted to use that experience to help others. So when I first started thinking about writing a book, I wanted to kind of recant some of the things that occurred, but then I also wanted to share tips with individuals that are going through that situation. So it's kind of like that voice in your head where you know the right thing to do, but you just choose not to for various reasons. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate what your thoughts are when you're in that situation are correct. And you talked about the signs, Renee. All those things are correct. You just have to make sure you take action on those. So I wanted to provide tips for those in domestic violence situations, and then family members who may not know what you go through when you're in that situation. A lot of people provide advice saying, "Oh, well, just leave." It's not always that easy to just leave when you're in that moment and in that situation. And the book kind of talks about why, you don't leave. But then also to kind of celebrate. I don't think enough attention goes on those survivors, those that have been in those experiences like you and I, Renee, and have healed and gone on to do great things and be survivors. And so I also wanted to capture the survivor component. And so you'll see at the end, there's voices of men and women, and actually a child that was subject to domestic violence situation with her parents, which is my daughter, and just kind of talking about their experiences and sharing words of wisdom with others. And then there's one individual at the end who actually is an abuser. So I thought that was interesting for him to tell why he used to abuse women. Okay. So that's included in there too at the end.
So I guess my question to you, what gave you what was that final straw to make you write this book?
I would say when people, you know a lot of people that are going through those situations and they're ashamed and embarrassed. And so I wanted to show people, here I am, a successful female. I went through that situation. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed to share my story because I know it's going to help others. So knowing that using my words to help somebody, that kind of pushed me to do the book. And I prayed about it. And after the book was released, I shared it. There's plenty of people that have purchased it, and they just are very grateful for me to share my story. And one particular lady, I think she said she read it about 40 times. Every time she feels weak in her situation, she goes back to that book and it's carrying her day to day. So it's just affirmation that me sharing my story is definitely fulfilling the purpose.
Nice. Okay. Now, another question for you. There was a part in the book where you spoke about, and I hope it's okay for me to touch on it.
Yeah.
It's about when you were in the open field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was kind of very vivid.
Yeah, it was very, very vivid. And I felt your pain. And just to give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of what she had went through, she basically went on a ride, a death ride. And what I mean by that, it was a ride where she didn't know whether she was going to live or die. She was taken to an open field in the rural country. No neighbors, nobody was able to hear her, and they may not have found her if things would have gone according to what he wanted to do. But the outcome was he wanted to take you out there and violate you. And basically, if you would not have given in to that, what he was doing, he would have killed you, because he raped you at gunpoint. This wasn't just a random guy, but this was a man that you were in a relationship with. This was a man that was supposed to love you, and this was your child's father. So you're trying to I didn't know. I did. It didn't come. What I wanted to know, what was the ending result of that? I know that you went to the hospital, and in the book you said pretty much nothing happened from there. In your words, in your take, did he ever get punished for any of the things that he did to you?
No, he actually didn't. And that's the thing. A lot of people that have read the book was saying, well, what happened? Why didn't something happen? And the towns we lived in were, again, very rural. So there was some connection he had to the authorities to where they wouldn't do anything. I would go to the police station. I would call the police. The book talks about when he did rape me, I went to the hospital and they let him come in the room, those type of things. The only assistance the authorities, the police departments offered me was to leave. And so they expected me to leave,
So
my hometown. Yeah, leave town. Yeah, to leave town. Yeah, and so nothing happened other than me going to live with my aunt and uncle that was probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from my hometown where I was living at the particular time, to kind of hide from them.
So did you have any brothers or cousins in the country that could have handled him? Just take him on back in the woods somewhere and
people ask that too. My brother, I have a little brother, so he was younger, and it talks about that in the book too, where he actually seen him out somewhere and beat him up, and he was probably like a teenager, like 13.
Wow.
So a lot of people around the communities there, I mean, everybody kind of knew each other. They kind of watched them pretty much, and I don't know if they were afraid of them or they just were kind of immune to it, because that's the behavior of that circle down there. And then also to this day, because we do have a child together and she does see her father, he doesn't believe that he did anything. He said he never did any of that stuff.
So you still have contact with how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 23. I don't have contact with them.
Oh, okay.
But no, I don't have contact with them. But when we were in the process of doing this book, and we go out and talk to various groups, and a lot of groups like to talk to her because it's a child's perspective of being in that situation. And she talked the last time when we talked to some domestic violence advocates in Killeen, Texas. They asked the question, how's her relationship with her? How's her relationship with her father? And she said she talked to him about the book, and he said he didn't do any of that stuff. And she told him, yes, you did. I remember it. I was little. I remember all of that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's living in denial. So it's almost as if it was another person that took over at the time. And now he's trying to live a different life. So he feel like, that wasn't me. I didn't do it. And I can definitely relate to that as well. Now, with it being in a rural area, and like you touched on, honey, you said, well, wasn't there any brothers or, any cousins or uncles? I know in my situation, I knew that I wanted to get away without bloodshed. I know that my daddy would have put one in them. I know my brothers would have put one in them easily. I know I could have called my little cousins from the block and handled him. But to me, I wanted to get away without that blood being on my hands.
Well, it would have been on your hands. It would have been on your cousin's hands.
It would have been on my conscience. You know what I'm saying? My daddy would have just did it in cold blood. He'd be sitting somewhere rotting in prison, and I didn't want that. So I would have rather, but I would have rather just to leave and to get away. I moved 700 miles away. You know what I mean? To get away from the situation, because it was something that it was very toxic. It was either going to be me or him. Either I was going to die or he was going to die. And so I needed to get away from that. So it's not always easy to be able to go until, like, people didn't know what I was going through. I hid it so well. My daddy didn't know until the day before I was leaving when we went out to eat. And actually, the guy was locked up at the time. And no, he wasn't. I take that back. He had just got out, but I had a restraining order put on him, so he couldn't touch me. And but when I told my dad what happened when we went out to eat the day before I was leaving, my dad was so hurt, and the only thing he could say is, "Why didn't you tell me?"
So, so going by Renee's story, have any of your family members say, "Why didn't you say something to them then?" I mean, how do your family react now?
After reading the book again, when the book was released, that was probably the first time they actually knew all of what's going on.
Right.
A lot of times they told me to stay away, but I would, keep going, back down there. And that was the thing. In that situation, I wanted them to save me, but I needed to save myself. It was just that easy. If I wanted to save myself, I just needed to get the strength to do that. They weren't going to save me. And I didn't realize that till after the fact, because in that situation, I wanted them to do something to kind of free me from it, but I needed to free myself.
Man.
So basically, and just to make you can hear me still, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So basically, you kept going back, and I'm sure a lot of it was for the sake of your daughter, so that she could have a relationship with her father. But you had almost what they call Stockholm syndrome. Sound like.
Yeah, it was going back to, believing that he would change, which he never did, and also being afraid. And it wasn't until I realized, well, he's going to kill me if I stay, kill me if I leave. I'm ready to die. That I was like, I'm leaving.
So do you think? I mean, because I don't know. Obviously, I've never been beat up by a man or a woman in that case. Do you think it has something to do with self-esteem in your part? I mean, like,
oh yeah,
like it was, since you said it was a rural area, that it wasn't like many options for you, so you just had to take what you can get, kind of thing.
It was that self-esteem, but it was more of, people looking down on us because we were poor. But then here's this man or young man at that time that liked me, that was a track star that everybody knew. So it was okay. It kind of built me up, but really it just kind of tore me down. But just that little small amount of gratification of somebody noticing me was why I kind of lingered on for a while, till I realized it was very toxic and I wanted to get out. And then it turned into a stalker situation where every time I tried, he'd get dropped off 2 hours away. I call the police, those type of things. Until like at the end of the book where it talked about we were actually in the same location, and I, something easy as spraying him with mace got him to finally leave me alone. Something that easy. I could have did that a long time ago.
So how much is he older than you, and if so, how much older?
2 years.
2 years older.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, because it's messed up on each part. Whether a man or woman, but no one should be putting their hands on nobody, and no one should be living in fear. So so now that you're out of that situation and you wrote this book, now how long ago was this book written?
It was released in December of last year. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've been writing the book for how long?
I started in 2010, and it just took a while because of my professional career. It's very hectic in my professional life, so I had to, put it down to work on some projects at work. But then I gave myself a goal to get it done last year, so I finished it up in a year and self-published it, and it's out.
Nice. Okay, so here's the thing here. Again, let me just show this book. The title of the book is Live, and the subtitle is Finding the Strength Within to Survive. And you can find this book on Amazon, or how do you have it published?
Yes, it's available on Amazon. You can also get it up from my website, which is drendawilliams.com. And then I'm at various book festivals around the country. The next one that I'll have is in October, which is the National Black Book Festival in Houston, Texas. And that's at the end of October.
Oh, awesome. So now I know not only in this book, so we talked about the physical abuse, and then you went on to talk about the next relationship, which was more on a different type of abuse. And a lot of women go through this and don't understand it or don't see it as abuse, because when you think about abuse, you're talking about physical, right? When you think about somebody being abused or anything like that, you think, okay, this is physical abuse. But can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Drenda.
Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you.
Can y'all see us? Can you hear us?
Can you hear Drenda?
Okay. Okay. It kind of froze up for a minute. Um, Making sure. Can you guys hear us? Can you hear us?
Oh, Lord. People are posting comments on here, so we kind of post them out there.
Yeah, about their situations. Um, Before I finish what I was saying, I want to make sure that you guys can hear. Okay, so Brenda said that they can hear us. Okay, so you talked about the whole emotional part of it and the mental abuse. Okay, tell me a little bit about that, and let's talk about the signs of that abuse.
Yeah. So the relationship you're talking about is my ex-husband. And I always call that a second test from God to see if I learned the lesson. But he was very emotionally abusive as far as saying demeaning things, to me. And it carried over the course, probably from the beginning of our relationship. And I let it slide till, I realized, okay, I learned the lesson. It's going to lead to something else. But it was just attacking my character. And I think it was something within himself that he didn't feel like he was worthy of. And it could have been something as simple as me making more money than him income wise, or, me having, various friends from different places, because I do travel a lot. But he was very negative, derogatory. He used to make fun at me in front of the children, and they would sit and laugh, and poke fun at me and things like that. And I know that that's not, something normal to do. And even though it wasn't physical, it can hurt
Right.
your character if you don't have that strength to know, your self-worth.
Took the camera back up. It kind of went down again. All we see is your glass. There we go.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do know. Of course, having gone through that, and a lot of times we go through that again, and we don't even realize. Like, wait a minute, this is not. Yeah, you're not putting your hands on me. You're not throwing me across the room, but I'm scarred more from this mental and emotional abuse that you're putting on me, and that can leave you really messed up for years to come. And also going into other relationships, you carrying that baggage with you. It's not always the physical abuse that you're carrying over with you. It's that abuse that you went through mentally and emotionally that you're carrying over with you. And that goes for a man not respecting you, or your spouse, whoever, man or woman, is the lack of respect, them calling you derogatory names, them making fun of you, them not being in your corner, just things of that nature can really affect a person. And we have to know the signs so that we can understand when this is happening. Either you make them stop, and if they don't stop, then you get going, because it only gets worse. And if it's already in their character, it's going to continue to get worse. And you can sometimes see a pattern from other relationships, you know. So it's those are the things, like those are the signs that I want for whoever is watching to know that it's
So
not always physical. It's also mental and emotional abuse.
so I guess simplify what Renee said. Give us, in your opinion, some signs that women should know or should notice that they're in a relationship. Because, like I said, they might not know. So give some of viewers some signs.
Okay. As far as emotional, calling you out of your name, those words I'm not going to say on air,
Oh,
calling
this
you
is not a
some,
family show. You can say it.
like calling you bitch, hoe, slut,
Right.
those derogatory terms. And it could be something as simple as you going out wearing something that is fine, not revealing or anything, but trying to make you or attack your character to make you think something's wrong with yourself. Another thing, like I said, is if they're in front of people, maybe in front of their friends, and they're talking negative to you around them, again, you're around a group of people and they're sitting there attacking you in front of everybody to demean you, pretty much.
Now,
Go ahead.
well, I just gotta hold on a second because Renee and I, we kind of fuss and fight all the time on set, so I don't want people
But
to
you
think.
don't disrespect.
I don't.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's
There's a
different.
big difference.
All right.
There is a big difference. There's a disrespecting. Like we already established in the very beginning. I don't do that cussing thing. Don't curse at me. Don't call me out my name. And we're good. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do it. I've been there. I can't take it. That is it's a trigger factor for me. You can say, shut your ass up. And I'll be like, what? You know, that kind of thing. It's like it's just a trigger factor for me. You know what I'm saying? And it comes over from, and that's baggage that's coming over from, past relationships.
So that's how I push your buttons. Okay.
Don't play with me. You don't want to see that side. Trust me, you haven't had to. You don't want to see that side.
What other signs that you know? I know I laugh and joke a lot, but what other signs that people should be aware of?
And like Renee said, the baggage. If they make you responsible for something someone else did in their past, like if they'll bring it up and say, "Well, you're just like such and such." That's what they used to do. That's a sign that they haven't healed from whatever issues they had previously, and so it's carrying over to you. So no matter what you're doing, they see you as the last person they had been with because they haven't healed from that past situation.
Deep. So now I'm assuming that you're divorced from your husband now, correct?
Yes, I learned the lesson. I prayed to God, and when I felt like he didn't build me up. And God doesn't want me to be with somebody that would tear me down like that. So I was like, okay, I'm out.
So are you opposed of dating now, or are you just?
Oh no, I'm not opposed to dating. The thing about it, and it's really important, is when you go through these situations, you have to take the time to heal. Don't go from one relationship to another. You have to learn, the lesson from the last relationship and make adjustments. Like Renee said, sometimes you go into another relationship that's similar to the one before it. That's kind of like a sign. Okay, you didn't do your work. You didn't do your homework to heal. So no, I'm definitely open. I know, not all men are abusive. I know definitely the signs right off. I'm not going to tolerate a man, like Renee said, cussing or, grabbing me, being controlling and possessive.
Now you say your daughter's 23 years old.
Yes.
You look like you're 32 yourself. So how old was you when you had...
When I had my daughter, I was 20.
Okay, all right. So now we know the age. 20.
So you know my age.
So she's 43 years old. Okay, we got you.
You look amazing. You don't look like what you've been through. Okay, and that's another thing. A lot of women, they can tend to look old when they've been worried, stressed, worn down, torn down. And you start looking like what you've been through, but you don't look like what you've been through. So, now another thing that I wanted to touch on, like you said about the whole grabbing and the, and just being overly controlling. Some women feel like, oh, he just loves me because he want to know where I'm at all the time. He want to, be around me or be, all the time, and
that's a double edge. Because when I don't ask where you going, or do you act like I don't care?
No, see, here's the thing. Now there's a difference, and guys that's tuned in, there is a difference between caring and controlling. Yes, you care enough to say, baby, you okay? You're all right, or how's everything going? Yes, I love that. But if it's always, if I make a move and go to the store, and if I don't call you and tell you that I've gone to the store, and when I get back, there's an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you should have told me that you were leaving this house.
Well, I'm still confused.
No.
I'm still confused because you go out and like you out this past weekend, you was asleep. So you get a few times you came home from a party, be like, Dad, you ain't stay up for me and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, I'm tired.
There's a difference. He getting misunderstood. When I said I can go, if I go to a grocery store,
grocery store, club,
just to go out for a minute, and when I come home, you down my throat because I left and didn't tell you that I was leaving. Say you're already gone, but you find out, okay, I'm not at the house, and you trying to figure out where I'm at and why I'm not there, and there's a big issue about that. that's a different type of control. Caring and controlling is two different things. Drenda, can you please weigh in on this?
Yes, Bobby is incorrect. For example, if they don't want you to have that individual time with your friends, or the time you spend by yourself, because they want you to be in their radius, I guess, per se, to watch and see how you're moving, who you're talking to, your habits, did something change? It could be something as simple as like, maybe you wore your hair different and they're like, what you do to you? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Who you trying to look good for? There's lots of signs that can tell or can show you if somebody is controlling that are not normal.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong, because
No.
when she go out, if by 8 o'clock, she know I'm in the bed. I'm not waiting up.
Now, see, this is the part that where I used to be like, okay, sir, I'm out. It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. If I go out with my girls, at least check in and say, baby, you okay? Are you in somebody's trunk or something?
I'm like, hell.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's concern. That's not controlling.
No news is good news, right?
Because with me, when my kids are out, my adult children, I wake up. If they're not home by 2 o'clock, I'm waking up talking about, hey, you okay? Everything all right? Just let me know everything, that you're okay. And it's just caring, not controlling. See, I just want to make sure that here's the thing. Okay.
We both have trackers on our phone. So at any given moment, I can just look at my phone and find out where she's been and how long she's been there.
And I can be in the back of somebody's truck.
and so if I know that you're in the truck and you've been sitting there for a minute, I'm like, okay, well then why should you? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm gonna do.
I can be moving towards the border in somebody's truck.
Well, if I see you on the highway and you're going the opposite direction of the home, then I would be concerned.
See what I'm saying?
But I just not been the controlling type of person to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me. So
and I appreciate that.
So for her coming from a situation like that, it's still a big difference, because I notice sometimes I can touch her in a certain way and it triggers something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it used to bother me. It still bothers me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, we've been married 10 years. You should know who I am by now. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. So I'm still working on that with her as well, because if I touch her a certain way, she's jumping up, boom. Like, whoa, like, baby, just me. All I'm doing is rubbing your leg. That's it.
And that's one thing, Bobby, you have to remember, when you go through those situations, you're going to have PTSD after.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, it's just there.
Yeah, I know it's there. I just wish you get over it. I'm like, damn, like I just want to rub a leg or so. You know what I'm saying?
It's not about getting over it. It's about healing and trying to deal with it. You would never ever get over it, because it's a traumatizing period that happened to you, and especially if it's trauma after trauma after trauma. And like you said, it does create PTSD. Certain sounds that I would hear, like cans of biscuits opening, I couldn't handle that sound for a long time. You know what I mean? It's just certain things that will trigger certain things with me. And I had to seek counseling. And when I did seek counseling, it helped me to understand what I was going through, because I didn't understand it at first. You know what I mean? And even now, like he said, certain ways that he can touch me, but that comes from not just the physical abuse, but that comes from, being molested at an early age, me being violated sexually. So certain things will trigger certain stuff. It kind of makes it's a familiar touch, or it might startle me in a way, if he just grabbed me, because sometimes my husband is not very romantic, so sometimes he'll just be like, he'll grab me like this, and I'll be like, and he'll get offended, like, why are you, when I touch
First of all,
you,
that is a romantic touch.
When I touch you, it's almost like he feel like I don't want him to touch me, but I do.
Right. Yeah, that is hard. That is hard.
But just I be wanting you to kind of like ease into it. Don't just grab me. You know what I mean? Because it triggers, like she said, PTSD is there, and it does trigger something. And it's not you. I love your touch when you do it softly. Just don't scare me. So I know that you talk about, even towards the end of your book, and I know we've gone over a little bit. Do you still have a couple more minutes?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, wonderful. I know that you started, so after you gone through your experiences that you've gone through, and in your book you talk about healing and getting past it. Can you give us a little bit of information on that?
Yeah, like you said, Renee, I definitely went to counseling. A lot of people have this stigma that you got to be crazy to go to counseling, but it's
white to go to counseling, because black people don't counsel.
I go to counseling. The thing about it is, the counselor, it's like when you're in counseling, you're talking and speaking and they're repeating back what you're saying and it sounds different.
Yes.
So you get it versus thinking the thoughts, in your head. It's an interesting practice actually. But I definitely went to counseling. I'm trying to think how to explain it. Like I have this spiritual growth where I always look at the positive things. I'm not very, negative, and that always helps, me get over those things. I'm not angry at my abuser. I'm not afraid of him. That's something that happened in the past. Whose fault was it? It was my fault. Actually, I blame myself because I allowed myself, to be used and to be torn down. So it's no one's fault but my own. So I remember, that I'm very progressed past those things. I'm not that afraid little girl with self-esteem. And I just capitalize on like my accomplishments and God bringing me out of that situation. So I just focus on my purpose, which is, using my talents, my past experiences to help somebody else, because not everybody's as strong as I am now. And I definitely want to be there to support those individuals who are going through domestic violence, men and women, because women do it to men more than you know.
Yes.
And so that's just how that was just a process, counseling, healing, my motivation to do what God put me on this earth to do, which was definitely not to be in that situation. And so every day I live it like this is my last day. I love my life now. I'm very positive. I'm just blessed to be able to have a book, to have people wanting to buy the book, that people wanting me to come and talk, about the book. So
that's right. Now, when we talk about we had touched briefly on it, when people go from relationship to relationship, right? So people don't give themselves enough time to get to know who they are, what they want, what they're willing to accept, and what they're not willing to accept. So they open themselves up to still attract those type of people, and they be like, well, God, why me? Why do I keep attracting these people? Why do I keep attracting a man who wants to put his hands on me? Why do I keep attracting this disrespectful man? Or why do I keep attracting this controlling man? That's because you haven't had enough time to cleanse your circle, cleanse your space, you know what I mean, and get to know you. You need to meditate, get those negative energies and vibrations from around you so that you can be open to accept the type of man or person or woman that you're looking for. So do you find as though that this is something that a path that you've taken as well?
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. Like I have my non-negotiable list. Women usually have a list of things they want about a man, and it's not tall, doesn't mean beard, doesn't mean a certain size. It's those character qualities that I know if a man exhibits controlling characteristics, that's not something I'm going to tolerate. So why am I going to entertain a man that acts like that in the beginning? So I always, when I talk to women, is that, do you know what you want in a man? Not that physical stuff that attracts you physically, but the internal stuff.
That's right. That's right. That is absolutely right. And when my husband came into my life, he was the total opposite than what I was used to. Now this is my second marriage. My first husband and I, we were young when we got married. So there was,
we got married too.
No. We were like, I was still teenager.
Oh, okay.
He was a little bit. He was like 21 or if
I'm
that
just saying
old.
The way you put it out there, we were young.
We were very young when we first got married, and we didn't know, you know what I'm saying, how to handle a marriage or how to deal. You're not mature enough,
right?
You know what I mean? So I would fight. Yes, if I thought that he was even talking to me wrong, or if he looked at me wrong, or whatever, and looked like he wanted to do something, I'll be the first to hit him. Like, I still had that young mentality. Oh, you threatening me with your looks? Okay, I'm gonna get you first. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn from that. Just coming out of that, I had to learn from that situation to know, Renee, that's not the way to be. You need to calm down to your turn to control. But then I went into that other relationship in a vulnerable state, and I left myself open. And that's how I got into that situation with my abuser. And that's how I ended up here in Atlanta so quickly. I always wanted to come to Georgia, but it was almost like I had to get up and rush and go. People didn't believe that I was leaving. They were like, girl, you're not packed up. You're not nothing. I sold everything in my house. I sold half of my son's clothes, half of my clothes, just so that I could have money, at least 3 months of money to sustain us while I was here until I can find a job. And it happened. It all fell into place. So I understand you saying that you had to run 2 hours away, just to be able to get away. I understand that. So I think what you're doing with your book and what you're talking about and going around and talking to these women and empowering women and men to know the signs and please understand and listen to your intuition, right?
Yes. Yes, your gut's right. It's always right. You know what to do. You just have to act on it.
You just have to act on it, and you have to know and know what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And hopefully physical abuse is one that you will not accept.
I have one other question. I don't know if you know that Renee and I, we are filmmakers. So is there at any moment, are you going to turn your book into a movie?
I would love to do that, because when the most recent person I sent a book to, they were like, oh my gosh, as soon as they read the first few pages, they're like, I'm getting mad. I get sad. I want to go, shoot them or do something like that. So I didn't realize at the time when I was writing the book how vivid my memories were of that. And I think turning it into a movie, a lot of people don't read, but I think definitely turning it into a movie will reach, a broader audience. It'll reach the younger kids, as well as, my generation and older, to let them know, domestic violence, is not acceptable. It's more common than you think. And we're out here trying to fight it, and help those through it so that they can heal and survive.
All right.
So we just put up the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. If you or someone that you know is in a position where you're unable to get away or you think that there is no escape for you, if you feel like your life is in danger.
Well, not you say that. If you just feel as though you're in a situation where as though you need someone to talk to, not just danger, but someone to talk to that understand what you're going through, call the number. You know what I'm saying? Yes. They will be able to help you, to assist you, and to let you know that you're not alone and that they can help you get to where you need to be. I'm saying, and that's where you're in danger.
They can help you get to a safe place. They can help you get into safe houses. They can help you out of that situation. I just wanted to bring up some of the statistics that you also incorporated with your book. You say 6 million plus children witness domestic violence annually, and on an average, 3 males and 1 male are murdered by their partner each day. 25% of women who have experienced domestic violence, of the 960,000 domestic violence incidents annually, 15% of the victims are men. Wow. Also, you said on here, 19% of college females will experience some form of dating violence, and 25% domestic crimes are reported to the police. Only 25%. 32% of high school students will be involved in an abusive relationship. This right here, when I read that, like 32% of high school students, you mean to tell me that these young guys is getting it in like that 32%?
Well, it starts young. I mean, you don't wake up one morning and say, I'm gonna beat my wife ass.
Yeah,
it starts. It does start young, and that's really sad because those are the girls who don't want to tell their parents. They're scared to talk about it. They don't want to talk to their friends about it. They just deal with it. 67% of all sexual assaults are attributed to date rape.
One more before you go there, this font is really small.
He just can't.
That's why I didn't read it.
He was like, I can't see that. He's been talking about he needs glasses anyway.
I'll do a large print version.
Okay. I was like, what the hell?
I can read. So just those statistics right there just blew my mind, especially about the high school students. The 32% of high school students will be involved in an abusive relationship. That right there breaks my heart. And I feel as though, especially survivors, we are survivors. And I know so many other survivors, and my auntie being one of them, who I really look up to with her transition. We need to get out there and really touch these young girls, like really talk to them and find out who's going through what, because that will make a big difference in years to come. If we can catch them now while they're young, we can maybe put a cap on this to stop it. I think she should go on her motivational tour, because you talking more than she talking.
But she's saying that we're saying the same thing.
No, I was.
We're interviewing Drenda. Drenda not
Renee, I echo that. That's one of the things, like around here, when I did a talk for Child Abuse Prevention Month, the principal said, even here, the girls think it's cute. They think it's cute when he's grabbing them and being controlling. Don't go this. That's not cute.
Yeah.
That's not cute. So we definitely, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is getting out and talking to the high school students. My next project is college. I've been invited to talk to a men and women's basketball team at a college in Missouri to talk about domestic violence awareness and my book as well.
Wow. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Before you go, how much is the book? Again, and we know they get from your website, but how much is the book again? Because we put the website up here again, so we want people to make sure.
Oh, the book is $16.
Okay.
On Amazon. Like I said, you can buy it directly from my website through PayPal. You catch me around the country. You can buy it at book festivals and things like that. And I just wanted to also add that the military here in Texas, the Fort Hood military base, is very supportive of trying to get. I'm trying to get the word out. So we definitely have a partnership where I'm going to speak at their domestic violence awareness proclamation in October. They bought 500 books for people on base. So they're definitely very supportive.
I was stationed at that base. There was a lot of ass whipping on that base.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was. And a lot of my soldiers, battle boys got reprimanded for that stuff, whooping on their wives and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because what happens that they would separate them. They would put them in like if they stayed on housing, they would separate them and put them in barracks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, I was in West Fort Hood when I was stationed down there.
Okay.
So I was in the 504. Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Bobby.
And thank you so much. I do thank you for coming on the show and sharing your truth.
Yeah, we're like 15 minutes over.
Yeah, we ran 15 minutes over, but
it's okay.
And I just hope that we can share this with other people who may be going through it. Maybe people want to reach out to you on Facebook. I'm sure you might get some inboxes. Maybe they just need somebody to say, "Hey, what do you think about this? Is that okay?"
Yeah, and I'm always here. My inbox and my cell phone, my text messages is always open. I definitely encourage that because I'm here to listen. If you got any questions, if you just need me to listen, that's sometimes you just need somebody to listen and acknowledge what you're going through, and I'm here for that.
That's right. And or just read the book and they can get all the information they need.
That's true.
That what they're going through ain't new.
Right.
Yep, it's been happening.
Yeah,
it's been happening exactly. Well, do you have any shout outs you want to give before we wrap up the show?
I want to give a shout out to Ebony.
Ebony, yay!
Ebony, like Bobby said, we met her wonderful spirit at Essence, and that's how I got connected. And it's by God's design that I was supposed to meet her, at Essence, and I'm supposed to be here with you all. So we're all on the same team trying to get the word out, to save a life, and allow people to be prosperous and heal from those traumatic events. So I definitely want to thank Ebony.
Yes. But we was down there too, so we was out there.
Y'all must have been on Bourbon Street.
Hey, look, we was by wherever the green truck was at. That's where I was at.
I seen that green truck.
I was by the green truck.
Okay.
Okay, well that's awesome. Well, thank you so much once again, Drenda, for coming on. We're going to show your website one more time, and we're going to go ahead and let you get back to your what's today? Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Yep, I'm headed to Washington, D.C. So.
All right. Well, go ahead. Well, thank you.
Yes.
Anytime you want to come back on the show, just let us know. Mm-hmm. We'd be more than happy to bring you back on. I mean, because domestic violence ain't going nowhere. We wish it would, but it ain't. So it might be, you might have to re-encourage some of these women again. That they're not alone, and that it's strength in numbers.
That's okay.
So
definitely. And thank you all for the invite again.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And you enjoy the rest of your week, Drenda. Thank you so much.
You have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Wow, guys, that was a great show with Drenda
Williams,
Drenda Williams down in Texas. She right there where I used to stay at.
Yeah.
Fort Hood, Texas. I was stationed down there. Killeen, Texas is a small town. It's a very small town. So She was from a rural town. She didn't down in Texas clean. She didn't get much bigger. Just want to put that out there. So anyway, that was good. I mean,
yeah,
that was
definitely
a really good show.
Very informative. You know, sometimes you have to be open and you have to be able to tell your truth. You know, and it's a lot of people that's still scared to tell their truth. So if you're still if you're scared to tell your truth, or if you just need somebody to talk to, we're going to put that number back up again. And it's right here at your fingertips. Write that number down, call. If you feel as though or if you're not even sure, you know that maybe you are in a domestic violence situation, but you're really not sure, and you just need that confirmation, call and talk to someone.
Well, if you're afraid to talk to them, or you're afraid to talk to somebody you don't know, I'm sure Renee. You can inbox Renee, or you can inbox Drenda, who we just talking to. Talk to somebody.
Yes.
Obviously, don't talk to me unless you want to laugh, but talk to somebody who's going to be there. Listen, I will listen, but I'm gonna try to find something to make you smile. That's just how I operate. So that's what you know what I'm saying. But I don't agree with any kind of domestic violence, whether it's a man or a woman. I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with beating your kids, but I don't agree with beating the woman.
Not beating your kids. You
beat your children.
You don't beat your kids. Hush up, boy.
Don't beat your wife.
We're about to get off this show. I don't know. Don't be talking about beating your kids.
Just beat the kids. Don't beat your wife.
You spank your children. Yeah, of course. Spirit around spoil the child, but you know, but yeah, and another adult that you're supposed to love and cherish, and you're not supposed to be trying to be a dominant factor over them. You know, that makes a difference.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to go ahead and end the show. I hope you guys got some great information. I hope it was very informative for you. And know the signs, know what to look for, even in your family and your friends who may be going through it. Know the signs from them, and be able to talk to them and be a lending ear. Okay.
Yes. So we're going to end the show how we do all our shows with 1, 2, 3, and peace.